This is FTC, and I'm gonna be covering the last match of round 2, Kokojo versus veliuz. This is Kokojo's on top, veliuz on bottom. As you can tell, most of the colors are fairly dark, which means I think veliuz is gonna sweep this because, first of all, his units have a lot of HP, far higher than what Kokojo's units are capable of taking down, I think, and they deal way too much damage. As in that, just as a small spoiler. That Lancer deals 280 neutral combat. That Monk deals 378, and that 497 HP Knight does 272. In other words, all of these things. This is compared to Kokojo's maximum physical damage, which I think is 192 off time strike. So Kokojo is already at a huge disadvantage just from damage. And also, the squad that Kokojo has to face is not a pushover. Not only does it have this much HP, it also has haste, and an 11-speed Lancer and a 9-speed Monk. If those units are hasted, I would argue they can start mid-charging time strike. They can start mid-charging that wizard. They can start reducing. They can just shut down Kokojo's attempts to even the fight. And although of course I can't entirely rule out Kokojo because he still has Geomancy, and Geomancy has a 20% chance to inflict the status, and that bomb has a chance of doubling damage off of oil. So it's not entirely zero. I mean, Kokojo doesn't entirely have the disadvantage when it comes to status. After all, his squad's fairly built around oil and fire synergy, but compared to his opponent, it's just not the same. However, if Kokojo does get lucky, in other words, if his bomb's 50 brave critical quick does go off, and there's 2 enemy units nearby, well, that would be a luck victory for Kokojo, and it can happen. And if the enemy gets petrified or stopped, well, although this squad although veliuz's squad is far better than, I would argue, the Fattyzilla squad at healing itself from that, since it has 2 units capable of doing it, that too would be a very bad failure for his opponent. So luck is still on Kokojo's side. Synchronization, I would argue, favors Kokojo, not because, I mean, to be honest, Kokojo's synchronization has one slight problem because that wizard can't really raise to the bomb that well, but otherwise it's fairly solid. And his team stays together because they all have 3 move. However, if you look at his opponent's squad, it's riddled with synchronization errors. But considering how strong it is, considering how strong that squad is at dealing physical damage, I don't think it will matter, but synchronization errors include things like the 412 HP Knight does not have, is wearing a circlet, and it's also wearing a diamond armlet. This doesn't make any sense because, but he also has light robe, which gives him regen. It would probably be much smarter if that unit had move HP up instead of teleport, crystal helm simply to boost the HP to boost his head's HP, so that way he gets more back per turn, and get rid of the diamond armlet and give him like a feather mantle, so he's harder to hit, and he gets HP back every turn. And he can damage whatever does connect. Then there's that Lancer, which, as Wiz pointed out earlier, was probably much stronger if it had 108 gems, because he's having a Holy Lance in 2 hands. That Monk has Chakra. Oh yeah, another problem. That Lancer has Throw Stone. It also has, I think, Beat Down. These attacks are not very reliable and probably shouldn't be used. And especially if the Lancer doesn't have the CT to jump somebody, he's going to use Throw Stone instead. That's a waste of time. That Monk has an Angel Ring and knows Chakra. Considering his low HP, veliuz probably expects this unit to die just simply as a suicide unit that deals the most damage on his squad, die, come back, and hopefully attack again. However, there's one problem. If he has an Angel Ring, he's not going to be attacking again. He's going to be running away and using Chakra, which means you just took him out of the battle for at least a round, maybe 2 rounds. And even after using Chakra, he's still very weak. I mean, he's weak enough that even Kokojo's squad can probably one-shot him. After that. Then you have that Monk, then you have that Knight there, which has the most HP on his squad, which means he can't really function as bait, but has Crystal Shield and a Feather Mantle. I mean, not Crystal Shield, has a Defender and a Feather Mantle, and Weapon Guard. So his evasion is insane, but it's not really, but it doesn't really block magic that well, A. And B, it's kind of overkill. I mean, Armando's team, where that priest has, like, abandoned a Feather Mantle and a Crystal Shield, that priest had the lowest HP on his squad and was intended as bait. This knight has the highest HP on his squad, And even with 6 move, it's probably not intended as bait. It's probably intended as a direct physical striker. So in that case, there's no need to have that much evasion. However, there is one thing I would argue that veliuz did well. That knight has 40 brave, weapon guard, and defender. Not many people noticed that in 1.3038, Arch changed defender so that it's just now PA times weapon power. It's all knight swords are like this now. It no longer considers brave. So for those of you who noticed that, good. For those of you who didn't, that's a slight synchronization error, but nothing major. Anyways, then there's the issue of AI, and it's just because the bomb doesn't always blow up properly. So I would argue the AI favors veliuz simply because veliuz does something that the AI understands very well. Go ahead and hit people, and if hurt, heal. Okay, anyhow, now let's see what actually happens. When this is FTC doing the last match of round 2 of the losers bracket. This is match 21, Kokojo versus veliuz. On top is Kokojo, on the bottom is veliuz. Kokojo's team consists of Koko annoying the Geomancer Knight, Koko Poke the Marksman, Fire Kojo the Wizard, and also Resurrector, and Explokojo the Wildcard. veliuz's team has veliuz the Knight, which is mostly there to snipe people, though he doesn't have any breaks, which is surprising for a gun user, because that's fairly axiomatic. But he also has white magic, so he can mostly resurrect his characters and destroy negative status. Lick the Lancer, which is there mostly to attack, jump, and occasionally use Wish if needed. Poison the Monk, which is a direct physical attacker and can also haste his squad. And Odin the Knight, which is another physical attacker, but also is very hard to kill. Okay, the first match is going to be map 85, Mondalia Plains. Where incidentally you go chocobo hunting. Okay, let's see if Kokojo can pull this off though. Lick charges forward from his 11 speed. And Kokojo... Right. Alright, so haste gets casted on 2 units, but only the monk receives it because of low faith on that night. Okay, so the monk is gonna try again. Notice how most of Kokojo's units right now can't attack anybody. Oh right, I forgot to mention this in the pre-battle analysis, but despite those high neutral compat numbers, it's nowhere as bad as it seems for Kokojo because of bad compat. Notice, that knight only did 90. And wow, the Lancer was stopped. Kokojo might just be taking this. And the monk goes for damage. And it's also stopped. Wow, Kokojo just might be taking this. Okay, anyhow. Notice that knight dealt only 90 to that Lancer. That's because of bad compat. This is true for all of Kokojo. Wow, oil plus fire 4. Okay, that Lancer's dead. Yup. So already it's already a 4-on-3 thanks to Kokojo's oil tactics, and anti-Sagman is going to bring that Lancer back down. And, oh yes, and because of bad compat, that wizard can't be one-shotted by any member that wizard can't be one-shotted by any member of veliuz's squad except that can't be one-shot by any member of veliuz's squad except the Lancer. Except the monk. Similarly, that monk can't, despite his great power, can't one-shot despite the monk's great power, he can't one-shot the bomb, the explosive either. He can put it into critical and cause it to explode, which may or may not be good. Okay, so Kokojo still has the upper hand here. It's 4v2. Well, make that 3, but that monk is going to run the corner and do nothing. So, Kokojo, 2 early stops is causing him to turn this into a 4v3 battle where his opponent is at a serious disadvantage. Kokojo just might take this. Notice that. And the knight goes into anti-sandbagging duty, forcing the other enemy knight to do nothing but sandbag. And I don't think that knight can do anything anymore. Between Ice 3 and Time Strike, he should be dead too. And that was a concentrated time strike. It's not like there was a choice there. Wow, Kokojo just might be taking round 1. Despite having relatively low damage output. Or base damage output. Oil plus Fire 4 is just lethal. And double shot takes out that monk. Okay, Kokojo's taking round 1. Unless something miraculous happens in that night, that Lancer starts destroying the entire team on Kokojo, Kokojo's gonna take this round. Okay, the key for Kokojo to clinch this match actually is that he needs to have his wizard get her MP back so she can start casting spells. If she can't do that, then this will take much longer than Kokojo would like, simply because they have to systematically whittle down HP, and if the enemy can, and if that Lancer can kill someone, he will. Okay, so they run and go into more sandbagging duty. Meanwhile, veliuz is going to try to bring back that. Wow. He's trying to punch through a defender and a what? And that mantle evade gets blocked, throw stone. Notice how that Lancer, if he can't jump, will use throw stone. That's pretty much a waste of that Lancer's power. But then again, this is the AI. It doesn't seem to understand that. Okay, so another 2 units are brought down, but veliuz is still bringing people up, because that's his job. However, that monk won't last very long. And sooner or later, Kokojo is just gonna, well, harass the enemy until it dies. Well, I don't think that Lancer can, that's not even fatal from that Lancer. And Counter Flood's gonna kill that Lancer. Okay, so now it's 4-on-1 completely. There's no more re-raise tricks. There's just a knight that's going to keep trying to use raise 2 on a unit that's not very good. Now you're seeing the effectiveness of double regen. That knight can tank just as well as any of the official tanks on veliuz's squad. And the wizard goes in for all of 12 damage. But I think if that knight slows that monk won't be getting a turn before his time's up. So pretty much, all we're watching is Kokojo slowly but surely whittling his opponent's HP to 0, but HP restore goes off on the monk, so he indeed will get a turn. And he uses Earth Slash. Will this take down 2 units? Yep. Well, it takes down 1. But here's the problem that veliuz needs to be wary of. That knight doesn't have infinite MP. Once that knight runs out of MP, and the raise 2 stop, Kokojo's advantage will be permanent. And HP restore goes off again on that monk. Wow. Sadly, that knight doesn't have any cure spells. As much as I hate cure knights because of their inefficiency, it has to be admitted that this is probably one place in time where a cure spell would be very useful on a knight. But okay, the monk is not slowed anymore, and he's going to start killing again. So Earth Slash brings down that. Okay, brings down that wizard again. But then again, that knight's just taking pot shots down. He can't really do anything. And that monk goes down for good. Okay. So this is 3-on-1, but it's really... And that knight is now going back to using gunshots again. And notice that wizard can be healed by the explosive as well. So she's now out of the danger of getting... Okay, now she gets more MP. This is over. We're just going to be watching Kokojo steadily win this match against a very tanky knight. Yep. And another stop clock goes off. Okay, this is over. Fire 4. Okay, congrats Kokojo, you won round 1. Let's see what happens in round 2. Okay everyone, this is former Deathcore, and we're going to be looking at round 2 of losers bracket number 21, Kokojo versus veliuz. Kokojo won match 1 in style, simply with an early counter flood and counter geomancy that stopped 2 of veliuz's units very, very early into the match. This pretty much cut his damage output in half and forced him to sandbag for the rest of the round. That plus oil and fire force synergy sealed veliuz's fate. Now let's see what happens on Bethla Garrison. Okay, this is a much smaller map, and I think Kokojo's won here before against Mondo. So, it's going to be interesting. Immediately that night, that wizard goes in for Fire 4, but this time it only does 170 damage because of poor faith and bad command. Carve Model doesn't do anything, though Petrify would be even worse than Stomp on this map. Wizard takes 96 damage. Now he goes forward and uses Speed Ruin. So the wizard's now slowed. This combination of slow and haste can easily ruin Kokojo's match if it continues. Okay, 170 damage to the Lancer, and that wizard's gonna get dropped. The wizard's now gonna get healed by the bomb for 132, though it's nowhere enough to keep her alive against that Lancer and other units. Demon Fire heals the wizard. Nice. You don't see that every day. Okay. To save his comrade from dying... No, doesn't matter. The wizard gets mid-charged. And now, Poison uses Repeated Fist to go past Coco Poke's evasion. So now it's 4-on-3 already. We can see what happens on a small map. Kokojo's units are just going to get squeezed by the opponent. And the wizard goes down again. And the knight gets brought down by 2 successive hits. And so does the archer. Okay, so it's now 4-on-1. All that's left is Kokojo's bomb. And considering how spread out the enemy army is, Kokojo can't really get rid of all of them, even from a blow up. And now that it's slowed, it's probably just gonna die. Yep. So Kokojo loses. Round 3 of losers bracket number 21, Kokojo versus veliuz. Veliuz won round 2 simply by the high damage output on his squad. That and plus no lucky geomancies for Kokojo. And virtually even no counter floods or even damage splits gave veliuz the quick edge there. Now let's see what happens on the veliuz residence of Egros, map number 92. Okay, this is an incomplete map, and it's simply... Like I said, that Lancer chose to use Beat Down over other skills because of what veliuz gave him, even though Beat Down's accuracy is questionable. And now the Lancer starts to take damage. However, that wizard's going to get mid-charged. No question about it. And no HP restore this time. It's already 4v3, but that monk is actually pretty badly hurt. And counter flood will hit 2 targets, putting 1 to sleep. Okay, so it's technically 3v3 right now, even despite... But the wizard's gonna get mid-charged again, this time by Earth Slash. And the monk gets put down. So it's 3v3. Actually, no, it's 3v2 because one of veliuz's units is sleeping, and that Lancer gets nowhere with die attack. Notice that flame attack is always going through because it's off of magic. And that Lancer uses Bullseye for all of 70 damage. Perhaps not the best idea. And the Lancer goes down, forcing the other knight to sandbag. The knight that deals a crap ton of damage with his defender, I should add. In other words, a knight that shouldn't be sandbagging. Okay, so Kokojo now has a 3-on-1 advantage against veliuz, simply because of that demon fire that put that knight to sleep. That other knight's forced to sandbag, and he's just going to take damage from anti-sandbagging, namely geomancy. This might give the archer even time to resurrect the wizard, which is indeed what happens. Okay, the Kokojo, the advantage is now extended to 4v2, and demon fire heals both of them, for a good amount actually. And she gets put back down again. But notice that every time that knight tries to take an action, he's wasting his time. Because he's trying to fight off 3 units, one of whom he heals, the others of which deal damage. And notice that demon fire will heal the wizard and damage the enemy knight. So that knight's just successively taking damage for each attack that happens. It won't be long until he gets KO'd, really. Like now. Okay, so now the battle has... Okay, so the sleeping knight finally wakes up to find his entire squad dead. Okay, Kokojo, you may just have this. He can't even do raise 2 because he didn't have enough CTR. And that monk didn't get off his HP restored despite 70 brave. Okay, this is over. Kokojo, you won this. This is 4v1 all over again. The knight teleports out of the door. Okay. Are we sure this map is legit, guys? Because how are you going to hit him? Never mind, Kamaitachi can do it. Okay, and so can the wizard, I bet. And wow, because the short charge fire 4 goes before non-short charge raise 2. That knight took 238 damage, but hasn't died yet, because of damage split. Okay, raise 2 brings it back up the monk. So veliuz isn't out of this yet. But he needs to revive both units if he wants to have even a ghost of a chance to win. A critical gunshot, but it's not enough. And the archer will just heal the wizard again. Okay, the wizard's gonna get mid-charged, I think. Yup. But she now stands right... But that monk now stands right next to... Okay, never mind. I thought... But the monk is gonna go down. Notice that because all that other knight has is a gun, he's wasting most of his time. And the archer teleported out of the room. And the bomb goes down. Wow, in a reversal, Kokojo might just lose this. Though the other unit turns into a box, meaning it's now 2-on-1. He's going to charge raise 2 again, and the knight uses demon fire. But that knight's taking so much HP regens that it shouldn't matter. Raise 2 goes off, bringing the monk back up. And the archer's going to spend a turn bringing back the wizard, who then uses fire 4 on herself, it seems, and the enemy. But now they're all in a row for Earth Slash. Wow. This is still anyone's game, guys. The knight counter floods. This is really close. And the knight finally gets brought down again because of oil and because of a glitch with oil, really. So the wizard gets brought back up. She heals herself with fire 4 and then... No, cure 3 actually. And veliuz is forced to try to spam healings. But stunning strike, no. Stunning strike, if it would have worked, would have broken him out of charge. And that knight get put to sleep. Okay, Kokojo, congratulations, you just won this match. And fire 4 should end that knight's life. Yup. Okay, congrats Kokojo. You will advance and face my squad. veliuz, I'm sorry, but you've been eliminated.